Well, but that's because they don't care. They just want to put you on the drugs. They don't care about you. It's a business. Okay, they want to put you on these addictive drugs, and they could really care less if you want to get off. They'll say, "Oh, well, that means I'm not gonna make money from you. Good luck with that." You know, they'll put a bunch of pressure on you to get on them, but then getting off of them, they'll just kind of like, "Oh, well, have fun with that. Have fun with the brain zaps and wanting to cut your legs off and going through mental breakdowns and psychosis." Yeah, it really sounds like antidepressants are worth it, huh? So yeah, that's I mean, I'm realizing more and more just how big of an issue this is, because the reason I say that is it's only going up, the number of people that are going to be put on these drugs. Like I said, with that screening they're going to start doing at public schools, they're going to start kids younger and younger putting them on these powerful psychotropic drugs. And as if people weren't over entertained, docile, dumb zombies as it is, just add into the equation pharmaceutical drugs that are literally just mind numbing, soul crushing, spirituality killing, intellect destroying, just complete dirty, nasty drugs. So, yeah, I just can't stress enough how I realize more and more every day how big of an issue this is. Psychiatry is so in league with the New World Order. They want to not only lower populations, but the population they do have, they want them just to be obedient worker drones who are all just high out of their mind on drugs. So it doesn't matter if America is turning into a third world country. I have my Prozac, and everything's okay. And it's not just Prozac. A lot of times these people that start taking these, they'll be like, "Oh well, that's not enough. We got to get you on this one." Or they'll start getting bad side effects, so then they'll be put on another drug to fight side effects of one drug. So a lot of people that are on psychotropic drugs for quote mental illness unquote, um, it's rarely. I mean, well, I don't know rarely, but a lot of times it's more than just one drug. They'll be like, "Well, I'm on Clonopin, Effexor, um, Selects. I don't know all the names. I can't. Or Seroquel or lithium or whatever it is. Just these drugs that they'll be like have these really long names, and they'll be taking a bunch of them a day, and they'll just be basically in a coma. And one disturbing trend is how they're starting to put kids on these so young, and the fact that they're putting kids on Adderall and Ritalin. Man, I'm gonna have to try to keep my cool talking about this, because there are a few things that make me more mad. The fact that they're giving children, Ritalin, which is just speed. I mean, if you look at Adderall, which is a very similar to Ritalin, I mean, they're all stimulants. So Adderall is, the scientific name of Adderall is amphetamine. Does that ring a bell to any of you? Huh. What about methamphetamine? So amphetamine is speed. I mean, there's a stimulant drug, and methamphetamine is just a variety of that. I think a more potent, but nonetheless, they're very similar. Um, so they're giving and yeah, Adderall and Ritalin, these drugs they give to the kids literally in grade school because they misbehave. These are drugs. High schoolers, when they get their hands on these, they crush them up and snort them and get high on them. Or they take them because they need help passing a test. I mean, they're stimulants, and they're terrible. I mean, the fact that they could give that to kids is straight child abuse, torture. That is pure, just part of this dark ecstasy world. They love to, they want to make you be able to just be smart enough to do whatever mind-numbing, tedious task they give you. To work for the big corporations and be a good little worker bee. And so and just to make it so you don't feel bored, or you can actually feel entertained doing this mind-numbing, stupid work, is they give you these drugs. So when a kid is in school and is tired of listening to this boring teacher talk about something that doesn't interest them, well, they have to sit still and be quiet in a desk. And then the teachers act like something's wrong when they get, restless and start acting out. Well, no crap. I know, man, I literally praise my mom for not putting me on any sort of stimulant as a child. I was very active, very quote ADD. They said I had, but my mom just decided not to, and I cannot thank her enough, because if a lot of times those drugs, I don't want to say they'll permanently damage you, but a lot of times when you get on them, you'll just be on them for the rest of your life, and you won't feel the same without them. So you gotta. But like I said, I don't want anyone to lose hope. If you can get off these, it is possible with help of friends, family, and ultimately God. And it might sound cheesy to some of you, but really, I mean, you've got to have some help other than just yourself. A lot of times people are so just consumed by these drugs. So yeah, but anyways, they tried to put me on ADD medication, because I actually thought, I had independent thought and didn't like sitting around and hearing about, how government is great and how, America's bad and how by the year 2000, keep in mind this is the 90s, by the year 2000 all the rainforests would be destroyed and we'd be overflowing in garbage. They really taught me that. They really did say they would be predicted by the year 2005. We will be completely overrun in garbage because no one's recycling. So, just same eco scares that they're doing today. Let me post some more clips on here about the wonderful sides of antidepressants like Prozac. Let me find another good one. So let me just make the point real quickly. There's something a lot more sinister to big pharma and antidepressants and just all these drugs than simply profits. I mean, this is coming down to some hardcore, just mass mind control. It may even go further than that. I mean, some of these kids that are taking antidepressants and doing the school shootings, who knows? Maybe they give a certain dose to these, maybe a very small amount, so it's not as noticeable. Maybe some of the Prozac they give to people literally makes them go crazy. We know the people that run this world, the globalists and New World Order types, think there's too many people. So that's another reason they push Prozac, is they know it makes you more suicidal. They love suicide. They crave it. They smile every time they hear about a suicide. It's very creepy to me. And you can read what's his name? Huxley's book, Brave New World, and they have this drug that everyone takes. It's this strange kind of hallucinogenic type. It's called Soma, actually, and yeah, I mean that's what they're doing. They're going to create just their ideal world, just going to be a citizenry just so drugged out of their mind they can literally get away with murder and just do whatever they want, which we already have to a large extent right now. I'm not saying this is some far off in the distant future. No, we already have this now. Because guess what? Even if you're not taking these drugs, there's a good chance you're still getting some of it in you through the municipal water. And I'll play a lovely clip of that right here.
Now, the water you drink may have more in it than you bargained for. The Associated Press reports that there were traces of drugs, including prescription medicines, in the water supplies of 24 U.S. metropolitan areas. They include anticonvulsants, mood stabilizers, sex hormones, and prescription drugs and over-the-counter pain medications. In Philadelphia, in fact, the AP says tests showed the presence of 56 drugs, including the antibiotics amoxicillin and tetracycline. Caffeine and codeine were among 7 drugs found in northern New Jersey water, and in Washington, water contains, among other things, small amounts of the painkillers ibuprofen and naproxen.
I think that what this report really highlights is that these drugs are getting into our tap water, and that this is a real issue that government needs to step up and not ignore and really start looking into what are the health effects of having these drugs in our drinking water.
The concentrations are tiny, measured in parts per billion or trillion, but researchers don't know the exact risks posed by decades of exposure to low-level combinations of those pharmaceuticals.
I like how she's saying the government needs to step up and make sure our drinking water is good. Oh, they're the ones putting it in there, you moron. There's evidence that it's not just strictly from people, who take the drugs urinating and it getting through somehow or whatever. There is some evidence that the type that they're finding in there is actually not identical to what's being prescribed. So it's not too far-fetched to think they are purposely adding it. I mean, we know they add fluoride and we know what that's linked to. Or if you don't, investigate that. That's some top scientists are saying, yes, that does lower your IQ. It attacks your, your sexual organs, or meaning your fertility. It causes all sorts of problems. Ups your chances for bone cancer. But yeah, this broadcast isn't going to be so much about fluoride today. I might do a show on that in the future, but so yeah, they're already adding fluoride. So I mean, hey, the sky's the limits now. They've already They're already forcefully medicating us with that. Why not put, all sorts of other things? You can search lithium in drinking water. You'll find people actually arguing that it would be a good idea to put lithium, a powerful drug, in our drinking water. Absolutely insane. They really are trying to create a mass hypnosis of drugged up zombies. And like I said, they're creating it, but a big part of it's been created. Not quite enough people for them. For psychiatrists, you see, literally every single person in the world is a potential client. See, that's different than, say you're a doctor and you specialize in diabetes and you sell diabetes medication. Obviously, everyone doesn't have diabetes, and everyone's not going to be a potential client for that specific type of medication. On the other hand, psychotropic drugs, their profits know no limits because they can literally say anyone's depressed. It is not science, it is bunk. So people take these psychiatrists seriously, and then they look at people who actually analyze things and have maybe a different view on things than, so-called conspiracy theorists, and they laugh at us saying, "Oh, look at these things they believe." Well, you believe in stuff that has absolutely no backing. Everything I'm saying here on Black Helicopter Radio and Jeffrey Grubb talks about on Antimatter Radio, we can back up with either direct empirical evidence or just some sort of evidence. We don't just make things up. They just make up depression and say, "Oh, it's a chemical imbalance." We have no real proof of this or any science whatsoever. And technically, anyone can be considered depressed. They give you tests, okay, when they want to figure out if you're depressed, and the tests are so incredibly vague. I don't think there's any way you could answer it where they would, where the end result would be them saying, "Oh, you don't need to take medication." It's a total scam. They try to make it seem like a real science by making, just like how if you're going to the doctor, I'll just use the diabetes example. If you're going to the doctors for diabetes, you would list your symptoms that make you that show you have diabetes, because that's a real disease. That's a real concrete serious disease. Diabetes is no joke. But so they try to do that with things like so-called mental health. You go to the doctor, psychiatrist, or whatever, and you fill out this worksheet saying, "Do you ever feel tired more so than you think you should? Do you ever sleep too much or sleep too little?" Really, it can be either. If you think you ever sleep too much or too little, it shows you're depressed. Have you ever been unusually sad for more than a few days at a time? Well, sure. People always that's called your emotions. That's who we are. Consciousness is who we are, and this is the core of who you are. This is what when Jeff Grubb, who I work with on Antimatter Radio, Antimatter Zone Radio Network, we talk about how we are our consciousness. That's who we are, and that they're attacking our consciousness with these drugs. They're keeping you despiritualized even more so than you are. Even if you're not on these drugs, you're going to be despiritualized by through things like the food and the fluoride. It's all in there. You just can't get away from this completely. They're spraying chemicals on us from the sky with chemtrails. Man, we are being attacked on all fronts so hard. It can get overwhelming thinking about this all the time. But one thing I know a lot about from personal experience is this big pharma psychiatry joke. And so I think I've spent enough time ranting and raving about antidepressants. But anyone who's skeptical should really look into antidepressants and figure out what is going on with this. So I think now I'll go more into the war on drugs, which I initially started talking about some. So the war on drugs. All right, let's look at a drug, heroin, that has been increasing. Well, not just heroin, but opiates, increasing tenfold since we invaded Afghanistan. I heard different radio hosts say that, people in the conspiracy movement, a number of different, and I heard them, and I was like, okay, well then, but I decided to do my own research, and sure enough, you can see the opiate use started skyrocketing. What year? 2001, when we invaded Afghanistan. So let me, I'll find a clip. I believe it's Russia, who is very upset with the U.S. saying, "Stop growing the opium in Afghanistan. Our people are dying." I guess there's just a huge problem with heroin in Russia, and they call the U.S. out. They don't, they're not messing around. They say, "Stop it." And yeah, I'll play that clip right now, actually.
The head of Russia's Federal Drug Control Agency.
Pharmaceutical drugs that are literally just mind-numbing, soul-crushing, spirituality-killing, intellect-destroying, just complete dirty, nasty drugs. So, yeah, I just can't stress enough how I realize more and more every day how big of an issue this is. Psychiatry going up, the number of people that are going to be put on these drugs. Like I said, with that screening they're going to start doing at public schools, they're going to start kids younger and younger putting them on these powerful psychotropic drugs. And as if people weren't over-entertained, docile, dumb zombies as it is, just add into the equation, well, have fun with that. Have fun with the brain zaps and wanting to cut your legs off and going through mental breakdowns and psychosis. Yeah, it really sounds like antidepressants are worth it, huh? So yeah, that's I mean, I'm realizing more and more just how big of an issue this is, because the reason I say that is it's only psychiatry is so in league with the New World Order. They want to not only lower populations, but the population they do have, they want them just to be obedient worker drones who are all just high out of their mind on drugs. So, it doesn't matter if America is turning into a third world country. I have my well, but that's because they don't care. They just want to put you on the drugs. They don't care about you. It's a business. Okay, they want to put you on these addictive drugs, and they could really care less if you want to get off. They'll say, "Oh, well, that means I'm not going to make money from you. Good luck with that." They'll put a bunch of pressure on you to get on them, but then getting off of them, they'll just kind of like, "Oh,